Alright, let's look at this problem number 32. We want to show this trig identity. Quantity 1 minus cosine squared of theta times quantity 1 plus cotangent squared of theta is equal to 1. Alright, so there are some identities that we need to know. Here, 1 minus cosine squared of theta is, as we know, just a sine squared of theta. Right? Then also 1 plus cotangent squared of theta is equal to cosecant squared of theta. Right? So if you remember those, that's actually pretty good. But if you don't, we can derive these guys. So for example, this one, we have sine squared of theta plus cosine squared of theta equals 1. So this just comes from a Pythagorean theorem, and you have to know this one at least. But we can get this by simply subtracting cosine squared of theta from both sides, and the left hand side is going to be 1 minus cosine theta, which is the right hand side here. And if you subtract cosine squared, you have only sine squared, so we have that. Right? So we verified this inequality. And also this one, if you rewrite the cotangent square, cotangent is cosine of theta over sine of theta, and this is cotangent squared. We just square those, right? Then if you take the common denominator, you will get sine squared of theta. Right? So 1 is same thing as 1 over sine squared of theta, sine squared of theta over sine squared of theta, because you divide it number by itself, you're going to get 1. So then plus you have a cosine squared of theta. Alright, then from this identity, the numerator is just going to be 1. So it's a 1 over sine squared of theta. Alright, reciprocal of sine is cosecant. So we can do that, or cosecant squared of theta. Right? So that's why we have this identity. Right? Let's say we know this identity, then let's try to establish this identity. Right? So I'm going to start with the left hand side. Right? And here, right off the bat, we know what this guy is. This is actually just a sine squared of theta. So put that, sine squared of theta times, alright, this guy is straight from this identity, cosecant. So I'm going to write the cosecant squared of theta. Alright? Then remember that cosecant is just a reciprocal of sine, so you get sine squared of theta from this guy. And the cosecant is 1 over sine of theta. You have to square that. You square that. Square 1 is going to be still 1. Alright, then you can cancel those guys out to get 1, which is exactly the same thing as the right hand side. Alright, this establishes the identity there. Alright, so if you know these two identities, and also the definition of cosecant, and you can get this identity pretty easily. Alright, that's actually, I have to point at this guy. Alright, that's it. I hope that this was clear.